Okay, so our next topic is about the Q-Link chain. It's a multi-dimensional functional block Lattice public chain with smart contract support for network by co-founder and COO at Q-Link Foundation, Ms. Susan Zhou. Susan graduated from the University of Hong Kong with an MBA degree, and Susan previously worked as the former partner of Rhodian Capital, and she has over 10 years experiences in the investment banking across Asia. Now let's welcome Susan.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Susan. As mentioned, I was an investment banker before, and before last August, and it was an amazing experience. I was able to participate into a blockchain project, which is the Q-Link. And what about the Q-Link? We talk about AI. We talk about the content sharing. We talk about decentralized computing. But what is fundamental, we're focusing on the network structure. So how can we build a D-economy on the top if you don't have a decentralized network? So this is a Q-Link focus on. What is Q-Link? What is a QRC chain? So QRC chain is the world's first public chain for the decentralized NAS, network-led services. Well, I have to jump into a little bit disclaimer here because we are in cryptocurrency, they're trading on the Binance at this moment. So anything that I said is not investment recommendation. So first, the questions that jump into your head is what is NAS? This is not a tech terms. It's just what's internet services that we helping us to get online every day. That services including internet access, storage, content storage, a firewall for security, and the service for billing. So, and it becomes a necessity human needs, right? So I can't live out without internet for 5 seconds. I have to constantly check my Facebook, Twitter, and emails. I'm not alone. 2.3 billion people are connecting on the web through mobile way. This is a huge market. And sorry. So, and we are able to be connected wherever I are. But, okay. So, but if you think about what's the problem of networking services here? If, for example, in this room, you can search about 20 Wi-Fi hotspots, but none of them you can be connected. Why? Because this place is oversupplied, but no one would like to share. And how can we solve those problems? And there are other issues, like undersupplies of networks. 30% of the populations can not even connect with the internet. And there are other issues as well. So, for example, public Wi-Fi is not safe. And when you connect with public Wi-Fi, there's a chance your information, especially who are holding the private key, could be tapped. And the problem of the trust as well. So, by the end of the month, you will receive the bill from AT&T or Verizon. Do you actually trust that data, putting out the telephone bill, that is the data you used? And have you ever made so much phone calls? So what do we see here? The process without validation or third party verify how much transaction you actually made with the telephone companies. The problem of the trust. And we think the centralized operation of the network actually caused the pain. And decentralized network services will be the future. So here's how the future looks like. So everyone will be participate into this network, contributing its network resources, such as network access, the firewall for security, and transmission, content storage, and billing. So as you contribute, and you will be benefit from the same network services as well. And collectively, we call it decentralized mobile services. So why do you think this is significant, especially when we're building the decentralized infrastructure? Well, upon the wave of decentralization, there's a lot of new protocols actually be introduced, a new concept to the internet, such as hash ID resolutions. So the people who use, we're actually using IP addresses to find the files that we want to. But proposed by the IPFS, we're going to actually use a hash ID to find the content in the nearest server that store that content. And decentralized computing it's a very new concept as well, and proposed by ECM. So how can you have a decentralized computing, decentralized content without decentralized network? Here we propose the blockchain-based network services, which is the public chain, and implement and proposed by the QLC. So how can we implement this idea? How can we decentralize such a fundamental and basic network services? Here's the structure how we're going to do that, but I'm not going into too much detail because it's quite technical and complicated. There's a basic three parts: the blockchain parts, smart contract parts, and the consensus parts. So on the blockchain parts, we're actually using the block Lattice, which is a multidimensional account system. So each node actually can hold its own multiple blockchain accounts. When you have a transaction between the nodes, you actually have the transaction between the accounts. So that's what will make the transaction really fast, supporting the high TPS and without any fees. And the second one, the smart contracts designed purely for network transactions, what we call the QLC smart contracts. And at the same time, on the consensus part, we propose the Shannon consensus, which is delegated for the blockchain. So, because Shannon consensus is actually quite technical, and I wouldn't go into too much detail, but if you are interested, then come to me after the presentation. So here's a sample diagram how we're going to do this. So for example, if you have your cell phone, you have your home router, and you can actually register on the QLC public chain. So each devices will have ID on the chain, and at the same time will possess a private key and public key of that devices. And so for example, I'm sharing my actual data, or I'm sharing my Wi-Fi services, or I'm sharing my VPN services to Tommy, which is my neighbor. And so the transaction happens, Tommy connected with my VPN, and a smart contract issued by me to Tommy says, okay, Tommy, I need to charge you 2 QLC per connections. And that smart contracts become execute a transaction between my blockchain and Tommy's blockchain. And that is on the block Lattice. So collectively, and different nodes plays different roles on this network services. And they all interact with each other through block Lattice and smart contracts. So this is how it looks like. I mean, obviously, anyone could be a nodes and participates and beneficiary for the network services. The output, what's the output for the public chain? So it's essentially providing the module for the developers who want to incorporate the net service part into the dApp. So for example, decentralized Yelp. What can be done, decentralized Yelp? It could be includes the Wi-Fi module into the app. So whoever gives the comments has to connect it with the Wi-Fi from the merchant automatically without inputting the password. It's actually solving a problem of approve or trust. Why? Because most of the comments we say on Yelp are actually put in by the people who are fraud, who actually never been there. And if you can connect with the merchant on the Wi-Fi there, you can upload your comments when you connect it with the merchant's Wi-Fi. You solve the problem of the trust. You have to prove yourself actually being there to able to leave the comments. And then decentralize YouTube. So anyone we connected, any content that we connected, we receive from the decentralized YouTube is actually from the nearest nodes that contain that information. But at the same time, the network services will be charged with the content itself, are not separated as a pipe. So, okay, so I talked too much about technicals. My team actually built the first dApp based on the account sharing. So what is account sharing? I talked a lot about the Wi-Fi today. I think the biggest problem we have about the Wi-Fi is we don't know the password. But on the side, for the Wi-Fi owner who own the password, how can they share the Wi-Fi password with you safely? And how can they know you are not going to type or change the password? So we built this app. It's called Wi-Fi sharing. And by install the WinQ app, it's available on the Google Play. You can actually find the registered Wi-Fi on the blockchain and connect it with that Wi-Fi. Through the P2P connection, the password will pass to you automatically, and without disclosing what that password is. So I'll give you a simple demo. So for example, this is the Wi-Fi of this conference, Ideal Conference. I have registered the Wi-Fi on the blockchain. So, and which I have a second phone. I'll give this phone to a volunteer. So these already have the Wi-Fi here. So can you help us just click the button here? Oh, it's needed my password. So it's connected. And then now I can get on the web without knowing what's password over that Wi-Fi. And having said that, this is the first step that we built. The second is the decentralized VPN marketplace. So decentralized VPN is a typical network as a service. You want to get a VPN wherever you want, but you don't want to pay for monthly subscription or yearly subscription. How can we do that? We can install the WinQ app, and you can choose a list of the VPN from different places and get it connected. So all those VPN servers are actually not set up by us because it's decentralized. It's set up by the Q-Link's community members all around the world. So as long as they keep them online, they can set up the price, how much they want you to pay, and you can actually get the VPN services as you go, whenever you want. So those are the two dApps available on the Google Play, and if you're interested, just search the WinQ in the Google Play. You can play around with the app. We're actually running on the test net at this moment, so all the services are free. So here's a bit of exchange listing. We're listing on 5 exchanges at this moment, and the biggest trading volume that's actually coming from Binance. If you haven't taken any picture of my presentation, here's one. You should get your phone out, scan the code, join our Telegram and Discord to get connected with us. So, thank you. And I'm open floor for any questions. Please.
So, I'm a big supporter of Q-Link, and I do follow them pretty regularly. So right now, I'm not sure, but I'm wondering if you guys are using dApp of running on Neo mainnet, or are you guys trying to switch it to their own QLC's blockchain?
That's a good question. So the dApp we're having right now is actually on Neo. And okay. Yes, I think it could be run on the dual chain. It doesn't matter. So because any asset registered on the Neo chain, it will project it to our own chain as well. Yeah.
And I have one more question. Sorry about that. So my second question is, since you guys said the Wi-Fi sharing is free, right? It's not charging any QLCs. So how feasible and how sustainable is that business model? And
that's a good question. Wi-Fi sharing is free for public Wi-Fi's because it's owner's decision whether they want to pay the fee on that. So for example, we do have the problems of oversupply of the Wi-Fi's. So for example, a coffee shop may have 20 Wi-Fi's available, but why do we need so much Wi-Fi? You can ask someone else to pay for the as they want to be connected. So you don't need to buy so much infrastructure by yourself. So I think a use case, in terms of use case, we think it's more applicable for places like a working space, restaurants, or any other places that people need to sit down and get connected for a while. And it's owner's decision whether they can be paid for this kind of service. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And stay connected with us. And let me know if you guys have any questions. I'll be around. Thank you.